One of the most important things that I've ever learned regarding individuality, regarding being a person, is the capacity to have oneself. And when I say that, I mean regardless of what other people are saying about you, regardless of what other people do to you, the capacity to have yourself so well composed that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who's in your life, it doesn't matter who has left your life, it just doesn't matter. And it's so interesting because for people who struggle to create and maintain a sense of self, right? It's so hard because if you're outsourcing your sense of self, you don't have a strong sense of self. And being somebody who has had so much experience with that, literally constructing a sense of self around, you know, codependency, people pleasing, all that kind of stuff. You realize how much, obviously, codependent, right? You realize how much your sense of self is codependent around the check marks that other people can provide for you, right? But then when you start to become aware of the different things that have traumatized you and have led you to be the way that you are, and then you start to take your energy back because, you kind of start to get grossed out. It's like, ew. So I have to look to this person and to that person to make decisions in life. No, thank you. I'll pass on that. I'd like to be able to think for myself, feel for myself, and be for myself, despite what any of these people think about it. Having that dynamic for yourself, having that sense of control for yourself, that's powerful. You can't manufacture that. You can't, you can't make that up. But that requires a lot of sitting with and by yourself and knowing yourself and seeing yourself fully, right? And it's just so interesting because there have been times throughout my life when I've looked at different situations and stuff where maybe I've lost things or people have left my life, right? And because codependency has you, you know, these validation check marks, they like it's so interesting because it's unbelievably shallow. It's superficial. There's no depth to it. But in codependency, when you have people leave your life, right? You start to feel like you're losing a part of yourself or parts of yourself. And it's interesting because while you definitely need people for things, right? Like you need relationships, right? And there are healthy out there are healthy people out there that you can have relationships with, but you need relationships. But you don't just need any relation. You don't just need somebody in your life because they're there, you know? Because then you can start to ask the question of, okay, well, what am I creating with this person? Is this person actually beneficial for me? And you're not just giving your energy to somebody because you feel like if you don't, you aren't good enough or that you're lesser of a person. These are all things that are necessary to sit with because then it allows you the opportunity to really know who you are, what it is that you're looking for, and why it is that you're pursuing the relationships that you are. You don't just have to be with people because you feel like if you don't, you won't know who the fuck you are. But unfortunately, that's how a lot of people live. Um, I've been there before, right? It's interesting when you have people in your life that have nothing in common with you. Because, in my opinion, I mean, don't get me wrong, we're all people, right? That we all have that in common. But specifications, like if you're a vegan and you have people in your life that are not vegan, there might be friction there, right? But just the matter of forming your own sense of self for yourself, separate from how other people perceive you, It's so relevant. It's so necessary. It's so important. It changes how you approach life and for yourself. And when you can actually ground with the fact that there's nothing wrong with you and you can have yourself despite what other people say or think about you, and having people in your life that manipulate you into believing that you can't just be yourself, yeah, run away from those people as far as you can. You can be yourself, for yourself, by yourself, without other people's validation. And that's entirely up to you. And anything that they say to you in opposition to that, I would argue is manipulation.